first thing you need to do is to measure the depth of your door. This is coming up 1 inch, but you can take a ruler, tape measure, whatever you have. I have a yardstick, and this tells me what to go and buy. As you can see, this fits 3/4 inch to 1 1/4 inch thick door. Next, I'm going to measure from the bottom of the first hole to the bottom of the last hole, and as you can see, it's 1 3/4 inches. This latch should fit perfectly, 1 3/4 hole spacing, and fit the thickness of my door. Here are the tools you will need: 2 sets of pliers, and I'll tell you why later, and my handy dandy retractable. We have the inside door handle, and then it has a little spring. And then we have the outside door handle, and you see that little square that just fell out. That's the button we're going to actually push to get in your door. Then you have a little spindle they give you, and you see the notches on the spindle, and you'll see what they're for at a later time. Now we have the spring, and you'll see where that goes in the door. And as for these different size screws they give you, one trick is the screw you took out of the door, just compare them to these screws they give you, and that's the side screw you need. And these screws, they go along with the brakes for the door. It all depends on the thickness of your door. You can also look at what you're taking off. These two things here are the shims. You can also look at to see if you had shims on your door before. You might not need them. All right, here are the instructions that they give you. And let me tell you, they are not handy dandy. They're out of here. The next step is to take off all screws from the inside and outside of the door. Here we have the outside doorknob. The square fits into the square of the doorknob, and then we take the spindle and place it inside this circle with the notches facing up, and I'll show you why later. And then you take the spring and face it, I'm going to say downward, smaller side downward, in order to fit on the door. Now we're going to take the outside handle and fit it to the door, and we're going to make sure that spindle is facing toward us, because we have to mark the spindle, because we're going to mark the spindle about 1/4 away from the back of that door, because this spindle is too long. We tried everything. It just would not work. And I just want you to know this piece of metal is heftier than you think. Here we are trying it again. Damn! Finally, we got it. Okay, we're going to reassemble this latch again, and then we're going to put the spindle in and face the spring going downward to put into the door. Now I'm going to take the latch and fit it into the door, and the spindle comes through. I'm going to take the spindle and turn it vertically, because it has to go vertically in that inside latch in order to fit into the groove. And now I'm going to take this screw and make sure I feel it grip, you know, the back. Make sure it's in that hole before I start screwing. Okay, now it's in. Then I'm going to do the handy dandy retractable, make it even go faster. Now we're going to put on the brake and it's basically a 2-screw job, and you use these grooves to make it sit straight, vertically straight. And then if you shut your door and you see that it's not catching, this is where you use those shims I showed you earlier. You put the shims underneath this brake as much as you need to so that the door will catch. And not lock, but catch. Where if it's not locked, it won't come open.